Hey my good friends, Sam Haymart with Test Driven TV. We are doing our very first test drive of 2024. In fact, it's so early in the year, there's still Christmas music playing behind me here at the clubhouse. But look at what we've got. This is the all-new, completely redesigned 2024 Hyundai Kona N-Line, the sporty one. So I'm going to show it to you inside and out. We're going to take it for a drive, and then I'm going to tell you what I really think. All right, my friends, as I mentioned at the outset, this is the all-new, completely redesigned 2024 Hyundai Kona. It is the last Hyundai in the showroom to finally get the newest design language inside and out, and they've really put it all here. A lot of angles, a lot of origami-like shapes, but it's not quite over the top like some of the other models. What you've got here is the N-Line, which is one trim grade down from the Limited. It's almost the most you can spend here. As tested, we're at 33,000 and some change. And it has a lot of features. It has a lot of design elements and performance aimed items that really sort of appeal to the enthusiast, the N-Line trim grade. So looking at the front, the design, this has a big wide LED strip at the top, which is the signature lighting. Down at the leading edges of each corner bumper is the LED headlights and the turn signal, the marker lamps, that whole assembly right there. And in the middle, a nice big, pretty aggressive looking lower fascia design and grille. And that really goes to this particular trim grade. Coming around the corner, 19-inch alloy wheels with low profile tires, which are a little bit more aggressive than you're going to find on some of the other trim grades. And body color wheel surrounds as well as lower trim. Some of the other models of the Kona actually have different colors on those fender arch moldings, really give it some contrast. N-Line badges all around, and look at this color. This is a pretty nice color. Down on the lower rocker, a dark metallic silver, a little bit of a nice highline detail there. Up on the top, matching roof rails up there in the same color, and a nice big sunroof. Now, it's not a full panoramic sunroof, but it is a sizable one at that. Takes up quite a bit of space and adds a lot of light to the interior. From this angle, you can see a lot more detail here of the Kona N-Line. I like the way the window line tapers back into a triangle and sort of crisscrosses and makes an X pattern, then goes into that rear window. Look at the top of the rear hatch though. Big wing up there. It's big enough to be, wow, look at that, but it's not so big that it's over the top, even though it is on the top. Looking at the rest of the rear three-quarter view, the taillights are LED, of course, a nice big wide LED bar at the top, and the taillights and backup lights down in the lower leading edge of the rear three-quarter view. Very much like the headlights are at the front. It's almost a mirror image front to back, except for the fact that you've got a little bit different sculpting. It's sort of playful, I think. Looking down at the rear bumper, you have a very sporty lower rear fascia design, and this one, being the N-Line, has the big dual exhaust tips. Sporty, I think. I just think it has a nice stance. It's much better looking, in my opinion, than the last generation Kona. The interior of the Kona is very similar to a lot of the Hyundais that I've tested lately in its design, in its quality, in its feature content. And so it's very future forward, and in the N-Line, it's got a lot of sporty accents. Look at the bright red across the dash. My husband told me the first thing he thought when he got in this was it looked like bright red nail polish. It's very shiny, it's very bold, and the N-Line also brings some unique seats. They have a vinyl and a cloth suede combination with some red striping and some N-embroidered logos on them. Red stitching for accents. I think they look pretty cool, and they're pretty comfortable too. Not bad at all for a Hyundai. The seat here is power adjustable for the driver. It is manual adjustable for the passenger. As I look around, the dash is very similar to other Hyundais, as I said at the outset. It has the two 12.3-inch screen cockpit, screen ahead of me for the instrument cluster that is adjustable. You can set it up a number of ways. The steering wheel has paddle shifters on it for the 8-speed automatic transmission, and some nice red stitching with the N logo on the spoke. Over on the center stack, another 12.3-inch screen for the infotainment system. and below it hard controls for the infotainment system and the climate control system below. Now, the center console is an area of conversation. At the front of it, sort of a nice setup. Some switches there for the USB ports. You can actually set the switches to use the USB connection that you're putting into it the way you want it. I like that. Below, this one has a wireless charger, a place to put your phone so it's in view while it's sitting on that charger. I love that. Behind that, drive mode selector with the all-wheel drive lock in the center and controls for the heated seats. It's when we get down here to the center console that things start getting a little bit different. I'm not sure I really like the design here. It's just a deep, hard plastic bin. There are cup holders that you can turn those around, and then you've just got a big bin there. Maybe that's great if you're not using them and you want to put a purse or some other kind of a backpack here. But it's when we get back here to the storage that things really get kind of weird. Instead of having an enclosed storage area, it's just got a big plastic bucket back here. And it's not really, it doesn't provide you with a locked closed space, or at least a place where you can put things that you want to have out of sight. It's just kind of a big bucket that's open front to back. So I'm not sure about that. I'm just not sure about that. Now, there is a little bit of a shelf over there on the dash, nice deep mat pockets. But outside of that, the versatility of this interior and some of the cheap plastics here and there are definitely built to the price. Above me, as mentioned on the walk around, is a sunroof. It's not a panoramic roof, but it's a little bit larger than a standard sunroof. It goes a little bit back into the back seat. It does open, and it does have a power sliding cover so that you can close that and not have light coming through if it's a really hot day. The back seat of the Kona is surprisingly spacious and comfortable, even with these seats put back far enough for my frame, about 5'8", 5'9", with my boots on. I've got plenty of space, as you can see, about 3 to 4 inches ahead of my knees. And the seating height back here is actually very good. It feels very natural. I will say that this seat is a little bit on the flat and hard side, not a lot of side bolstering or support, but for the most part in this class, a pretty comfortable space. And in this class, one surprise, and a pleasant one, is vents on the back of the center console. Some of the competitors leave that out, and you'll see they still have those little bright red fingernail polish accents here on the end line, and down below, USB ports for charging. A mat pocket on the back of the passenger seat. Now, there is also a fold-down armrest with cup holders in it, and the seat does fold down in a 60-40 split, giving you an almost flat load floor back there. And this has a pretty cavernous load space back there, even for the compact SUV that this is. Not only does it look large, but when you add up the cubic feet, not bad at all. And of course, there's a nice privacy cover to go with it. Underneath the floor, a spare tire. Yes, it's a temporary spare, but in a vehicle that you might be out adventuring in some place, it's always nice to have that spare, especially when they go into the performance-oriented versions. Sometimes they eliminate that. I'm glad they didn't here. This is an interior that I like a lot of the design elements in here. It's certainly miles better than the interior that it replaced in the last generation Kona, which was not that good at all. The things that disappoint me in this interior, though, are this centered console design that's just kind of open. It's a big hard plastic bin. Some of the materials in here, not exactly the best in the business. And while the feature content is very good, I'm just not real jazzed about this gear selector here. It's just, I've got 2 twist dials, and it's just not my favorite. I understand that this also is available with an electric version, which these type of shifters tend to be something you find there, but in a car that's sort of marketed to me as being an enthusiast-oriented vehicle, SUV, this is kind of weird. Not sure about that. So this interior gets 4 out of 5 stars. The infotainment system here is a 12.3-inch screen. It is very similar to a lot of the systems in other Hyundai and Kia models that I've really come to appreciate for a lot of reasons. It's very well featured. Bluetooth, of course, satellite radio. It has navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but unfortunately they're not wireless here. It has a backup camera, but not a 360 degree, just a single view. That's fine, small vehicle. And it has a lot of other features built into it that allow you to really navigate around, and you can connect into it and use a lot of the feature content here. Bose audio sounds pretty good, but not as good as you'd think it would. It's just missing a couple other things that I have found in previous Hyundai and Kia vehicles. It's like they're reeling back some of the content. I really like some of the media features that even last year's models had. So this is a good system, but it's missing some of the connectivity. It's missing some of the feature content. And honestly, getting around through the menus, they've redesigned the menu structure a little bit. Things like tuning stations, moving around, it's not quite as easy and intuitive as it has been in the past. The system gets 4 out of 5 stars. So if you watch my videos, you know the question I always like to ask is, how does it go? Sounds nice. And 60. Pretty good power. So what is under the hood? It's a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It has 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. It comes mated this year to an 8-speed automatic transmission, a traditional automatic, not the old dual clutch automatic that was kind of jerky, and well, I always complained about it because it wasn't one of the best ones in the business out there. This is rated by the EPA at 24 miles per gallon city, 29 miles per gallon highway, and 26 miles per gallon combined. In my week with it, that's about exactly what I got with it, if not just a little bit more. And of course, we are in the winter, I'm not running the AC, so that is an easy thing. So my takeaways here is that this is a powertrain that's got a little bit more than adequate power. It certainly isn't fast, it certainly isn't slow. And this new automatic transmission is certainly a big improvement over the old one that I used to see with Hyundai turbos. Nonetheless, it can be a little bit noisy and a little bit rough here and there. And so this powertrain gets 4 out of 5 stars. When it comes to ride, drive, and handling, this has a McPherson strut suspension up front, a multi-link rear suspension here because we do have all-wheel drive. And so it's a pretty standard setup. Notably, the chassis, the overall structure of this vehicle feels pretty stiff, pretty firm, and the suspension settings here are actually pretty firm. It's definitely something that would appeal to an enthusiast. It's not soft and wallowy by any stretch. And so when you throw it into a corner, go around a curve, it's got a nice response characteristic. And with these 19-inch wheels and low-profile tires, it's got a good level of grip. Not too bad. It's quiet. Around town, it's very comfortable to drive. The steering has a nice lightweight feel, and of course, if you dial up the drive modes, things change. It does get a little bit harsh over things like manhole covers, speed bumps, things like that. And there are a little bit of rattles and squeaks here and there as I roll over some of those rougher pavement patches and over some of the speed bumps. This chassis gets 4 out of 5 stars. All right, my friends, there we have it for the 2024 Hyundai Kona N-Line. Now, we're not done yet. We're going to talk about the biggest question, which a lot of people ask when they're shopping for a car, is it worth the money? At this price, we're nearly fully loaded. It's nearly in the same sync with the limited trim grade, although that one does cost a little bit more with a few of the extra things. This is a trim grade that I really like. It's sporty, it sort of aims towards the driving enthusiast. It's got bright colors inside and out. The wing, kind of like it. But generally speaking, my big takeaway here is the fact that this is a design that's much more attractive and future looking than the last generation. To be sure, the last generation Hyundai Kona was one of the last of the brand that hadn't adopted their newest, latest, greatest design language, and this certainly does that. A lot of details, a lot of things that you're either gonna love or you're gonna hate. Either way, when I look at value, I'm looking at things like the price tag, the features for the money, the warranty coverage. Oh my God, this has got a 10-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty, 5 years, 60,000 miles bumper to bumper, 3 years, 36,000 miles service and maintenance included. That is hard to beat from any brand. And so when you put that in with a very well-built vehicle and one that is appealing in a lot of ways, I put value here at 5 out of 5 stars. When you put that in with everything we've already talked about, well, we're at 4 out of 5 stars for the review. A very good first test drive for our first of 2024. So there you go, the Hyundai Kona N-Line. If you like what we do, subscribe to our YouTube channel right down there. If you're not sure yet, maybe just see our latest video right there and then decide. Either way, stay tuned.